I'd like to bring the mayor and town council work session of May 7th, 2026 to order. We are now at 309 North Washington Street, Snow Hill, Maryland, the Town Hall Annex. And it is about 5:02. If you take a look at your agenda, the first A is fees and fines committee presentation for update for code and planning, zoning, and building fees. Rick, would you like to add anything to the beginnings of this as introduction?
Just that we've come before you before with updates to our the various fines and fees in the system. We have a committee of staff designated as the committee that has recommended updates in the past. We had not addressed planning and zoning fees. It's been probably, as we found with most of our others, probably more than 20 years since we've had a comprehensive look at what we're charging. Dan is prepared to give you a presentation of the recommendations for upgrading those fees, everything from permit applications to inspections, anything to do really with our code enforcement to try to bring us up to date. I think we've shopped around and we're comparable to other jurisdictions of our similar size and services. So, Randy Parkfield, of course, is the chairman of the committee. He was occupied tonight, but Dan is prepared to go over the full recommendation for you. And as I say, it's basically housekeeping, trying to get us up to where we ought to be with charging for the services we provide.
All right, thank you. And in the packet, council members, you have planning, zoning, building fees, and code violations draft. So are you going to start and just review those, Mr. Brandewy?
Yeah, depending on how you want to proceed. If you'll recall, I think on the April work session, it handed out a scratched up version of the fee schedule that was previously in place prior to July of last year with suggested changes. What I did was take those changes and put them in a spreadsheet with columns that provide what it's for and what those existing fees and proposed fees would be. So depending on how you'd like to proceed, you can go over each one, or if you have questions about each one, major highlights, I'm here to answer any questions you have. And ultimately, the column that has final council action would be then what we would put in for the final fee. The idea being that we would prepare a resolution after you're comfortable with the fee schedule and then adopt this document as part of that resolution, if that makes sense with our legal counsel as well.
All right, well, can we take one page at a time and just kind of briefly go through just generally, and then council can ask questions?
Starting with the first page, residential building permits. I did add a note about siding, replacement doors, replacement windows. That comes up frequently about whether we're charging for permits. Generally speaking, we have not required permits of simple siding replacement, door replacements, or replacing windows. There's no opening, resizing of openings. That's not in the historic district. But for other permits that come up, it would be a proposed fee of $125, which is what we're charging basically right now for all the miscellaneous permits that are coming through. For a building permit for a new single family home or a two family dwelling, for example, right now we had in our books a formula of charging the square footage of the dwelling by a national average, which we had on the books of $85 per square foot, then multiplying that by a factor of 0.45%. I give an example there, 1,600 square foot dwelling times $85 a square foot multiplied by that reduction factor would be a building permit fee of $612. That's what was on the books last July. Staff is recommending that be adjusted to $115 a square foot. So that would be an approximate increase of around $900 to $1,000 for a building permit for a new single family home. In my experience, that's not out of line with what I'm seeing in other communities charge for a building permit.
Sure.
So likewise, there's a formula for attached garages, screened-in porches, covered or uncovered decks, or other attached covered areas considered as non-livable. That's another formula based on a factor of $35 a square foot by the same reduction factor of 0.45%. That recommendation is to go from an existing fee of $35 to $70. That actually comes out approximately to around $120, I think, using that example, which is similar to what we're charging right now. Re-roof permit would be a flat fee going from $20 previously to $125. Accessory structures, I broke it down in between a smaller structure and a larger structure. That's a new feature. We've been charging a standard fee right now of $125 for larger structures. That would stay the same for a smaller structure. Staff is recommending a smaller fee for small sheds. Swimming pools, again, we're charging right now a flat fee of $125. That would stay the same. Fences also is $125. That is something you may want to consider reducing a charge on, but that is the current fee. Commercial building permits uses the same basic formula, and there's an adjustment there as well that we're recommending. Right now, if I recall, it was at 150 square feet, and that would be the same fee at 150 square feet, using that same formula. For example, a 20,000 square foot office building times 150 square feet times the reduction factor of 0.405% would be a fee of $12,150. Again, that is not out of line for a larger type non-residential building in my experience.
And where do you get these formulas from?
Research,
Research.
for example, I think did a little bit of research on what the national average is right now. For an office building, it's between $240 and $870 per square foot, with a median of $560 in Maryland. Or that's the national average. And I went and looked and applied the same search phrase to Maryland, and it spit out a chart. Baltimore, for example, in 2009, for a one-story office building, it was $150 a square foot back in 2009 for Baltimore for a one-story office building. So I don't think the 150 that we're proposing is out of line.
No, that's not one. All right, on that first page, council, any questions?
Yeah, what would you recommend the fencing, net fee go down to?
I recommend $75. I think that's a reasonable thing for a small item like that.
Yeah. Plus we have a lot of dogs in town. We want to encourage people to
Yeah,
build
with
that.
those fence, right?
Mayor,
Yes,
I believe that it's reasonable in terms of what is being recommended. And I think it's long overdue. However, to impose these fees upon applicants and potential applicants who've been working with the town, looking at costs and preparing to come to, and I want to be very clear about this. I have specific reference to the Summerfield project. In 2008 or whenever it was proposed at the last time, building fees were at one level. They are now being recommended. I won't strike that because that's how I don't get into land. So strike that altogether. The imposition to impose these fees on not only Summerfield, but other entities that are planning to come into that, is going to price them out of the market to some degree and be very, very discouraging in terms of coming into Snow Hill. So while I support the increase in the fees, would your committee be open to recommending to mayor and council a grandfather or waiver of those companies or entities that have been working with the town under the current guidelines of fee structure? What's your gut to that? What's your response? My recommendation.
Well, council moves forward with the recommendation, they were to take effect July 1st, as I understand it. So if there were active applications in prior to July first, such as for building permits, I would say they could be grandfathered in, be a council decision. After July first, if they apply for building permits at that point, I think it would be logical to apply the new rates to.
I counter that with, because July first, that's what, how many months, maybe 2 months away. Some of these preparations and planning have been in the pipeline and in progress for some of them years, some of them a considerable length of time. I think it would not be appropriate if we're going to grandfather. I think we should draw a line on those before a certain date. And then after that date, I think that would be much more appropriate.
Yeah, I agree. Retroactively to apply a new fee to something that's applied for it, I don't think would be fair. Makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at the,
Oops, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Councilperson Fletcher.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the total fees for the building permits for 1 or 2 story family dwelling, right? You raise them up to 150, makes it between $900 and $1,000. If $1,000 would price out of the market a single family home, then you couldn't afford to build it in the first place. So I'm fine with that fee going up.
The thing too about building permit fees, it's typically factored into the contractor's cost of the building.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's amortized over a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah.
That all is figured into that cost of that building construction cost. So it's just not that unusual to have a $900 to $1,500 fee for a typical single family dwelling. As far as staff time, I think staff time certainly covers that cost in terms of what we put into processing that permit.
Councilperson Fletcher.
Where did you get the re-roof permit? The figure for the re-roof.
That's essentially what we're charging right now. The standard permit fee that council adopted with the ordinance 2025-01 last year. I think it's somewhat high, and my past experience, especially for senior citizens that are doing re-roofing projects. My previous position, they were charging a percentage of the cost, the total cost of the contract. That would be almost a $900 roofing permit fee. And my experience was that's too high, simply for a roofing permit. But that's your decision if you want to lower that, but that is basically the standard we're applying right now for related permits, roofing permits.
125.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
want to say to you, while the current amount that you're recommending is not astronomical out of the picture, in looking at multiple operations of multiple dwellings on the part of a contractor, this cost is not insignificant multiplied with other costs that are incurred. And when people are on a tight budget, streamline, so to minimize this and see it as insignificant, I think is not proper. It's out of line. And I think, I would hope that the council sees through where we are in this process, where we've been and where we're going. We want to make Snow Hill a place where people want to come to live, to build, to stay here, to develop this community. And where we can, I think that we should do that. I'm going to argue again that your recommendations are solid and sound. Here's an opportunity for us to show who we are in Snow Hill as it relates to us being open and supportive of those. And if the figure is not that significant, then it would be only more proper to grandfather it in without an argument.
Do you have a specific recommendation on this roofing or?
No,
anything
I'm speaking on, I'm,
in general?
I'm not gonna speak in general, I'm speaking in terms of the square footage. On that one, no, I'm not gonna argue on that.
Councilperson Fletcher, did you have anything else?
Well, I think the re-roof should be lower.
What do you think it should be?
I'm gonna say $90.
Sorry,
Everybody agree?
I'm good with it.
Good?
Mhm.
Okay. So we're saying the re-roof permit should be lowered from $125 to $90. Now, and we also said the fence should be
75.
75. Are there any other changes on that page?
I'm good.
Good. Okay, let's move on to the second page. Got another?
Okay.
Good? Okay. All right, let's move to the next page.
So the category that I identified as called the use of land, for someone coming in, for example, they want a permit to use a property in some manner, such as an outdoor sales event of some sort, that would fit in that category. And the recommendation would be to go from 50 to 125, which again is reflective of a standard fee that we're charging for most things. Stormwater management facility, that would be reviewing a stormwater management design as part of our overall plan review, and that would be specific for that stormwater management facility. That would go from 150 to 500. Commencement of construction without a properly issued permit. In current language, it's a 3 times the penalty or 3 times the fee if people are starting to work without a permit. And I suggested lowering that to 2 times the fee. Certificate of occupancy, typically that's always tied to a building permit. So there's no fee posed or existing, it's just as whatever that building permit fee. I don't believe it's appropriate to charge for a certificate of occupancy on top of a building permit fee. But if there's a change of use, for example, if the new person's occupying a retail space, then the recommendation is to charge the fee from 50 previously to 125. Signage, there's very little from what I saw in the code about what we're charging for signs. So the recommendation is to go to a standard 125 fee for signage. That's across the, that varies across the board by community. For larger signs, its formula is potentially based on square footage. For small signs, there could be a lower fee. But that could be something that we could research further if you want to pursue that.
So what kind of signs are you talking about?
Well, for example, if someone simply wanted to hang a wall sign off a business, a
Okay.
hanging sign,
Okay,
1 foot by 2 foot sign,
right,
is 125 appropriate for something like that?
okay,
Versus a large wall sign on a property that's 100, 200, 10 by 200 or something, a very large sign that may take, for example, more staff time to review. Yeah, that could be based on a formula. But right now, it's a flat out fee for all signage.
all signs,
Yeah.
no matter their size.
No matter what's not there.
Council, okay, go ahead, and then we'll come back and ask questions.
House moving fee, there was a standard fee of $300 previously. That is not recommended to change. There's demolition fees on the books. That's not recommended to change. For a non-livable structure, it was $40, for example, a small shed. That would stay the same. 1-story dwelling unit, for example, was 50. That's recommended to be adjusted to 125. Greater than 1 story, the recommendation to go from 100 to 125. Grading sediment control plans, staff is recommending that be adjusted from 50 to 120. Certificate of appropriateness, when it's tied to the building permit, there would be no charge. It's a standalone certificate of appropriateness, we would recommend a fee of $75.
Say that again.
$75 for a certificate of appropriateness.
The last one. On that page. Council, any suggestions or questions, particularly of the sign,
Yeah,
the sizes?
the sign one at $125. I mean, that's kind of, especially for something that might be that big. That might be half the cost of the sign. And the concern there is that if we don't permit them properly, like, they could fall off and hit somebody in the head, right? That's
Yeah, well, it also covers it, in a sense, the building permit application and the certificate of appropriateness application if it were in the historic district, for example, but.
So it could fall underneath this, or would it be an added cost on top of that?
No, it would just be the 125. That's basically covers that building permit and the certificate of appropriateness application as well. If it's in the historic district.
Do they do like a small and large? Do they do anything like that?
A lot of communities do.
Communities do? So a small could be 75 and Or-
Yeah.
Something like that?
On a small side.
Yeah, under 100 square feet, $75, for example.
or
50 square feet.
small, medium, large. I don't know. I don't know how they do that. But it doesn't seem right to be the same price for every sign, but I don't know how you delineate between that.
We could
Maybe
come
that's
back-
why they just all do 125.
Yeah, we could come back with more research on that.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
The 1 story and the 2 story. Before the existing fee, the 1 story was half of the over 1 story, and now you're gonna do both of them at the same price.
Yeah, in terms of staff time, there's really not much difference in terms of processing a demolition permit, whether it's a 1 story, 2 story, or a shed, for example. But it would be reasonable to adjust that higher than the 1 story.
Okay, great. Okay, next page.
This is what I categorize as application fees in general. For example, a Board of Appeals filing fee. The way it's listed right now is $300 if it's a 1 or 2 family appeal or variance or conditional use type situation. That would be, final fee would also have to include advertising costs. So that recommendation is to stay the same. Likewise, if it's a commercial or multifamily variance application to the Board of Zoning Appeals, or similar application, that fee would remain the same, that would remain the same at $450. Housing Board of Review application, apparently it was $250 before, that would be recommended to be the same level of the Board of Zoning Appeals fee at $300. Critical area review, there's existing fee structure of $100 for 5 or less units, with $25 each additional unit. Staff is recommending no change there. Floodplain application and permit, we recommend that go from 100 to 125. Petition to change the zoning text or a zoning map amendment. The zoning text amendment fee was $300. Staff is recommending an adjustment to $400 plus advertising costs. For a zoning map amendment, previous fee was $650 for a base fee plus $15 per acre. That's $15 per acre. No changes recommended there. Annexation fee, and this is a new one. We cannot find any research that documents what our previous annexation fees were. And just looking at other communities, we recommend a fee of $5,000 plus 25 per proposed acre.
Repeat that, please.
The $5,000 standard application fee plus the $25 per acre.
Are you finding that dollar figure high, on the high end commensurate?
I thought it was consistent with Pocomoke, but I think Pocomoke was at 2,000 plus a certain amount per acre. Berlin, when I looked at that, that was much lower as far as the annexation fee. I didn't go beyond those two entities right now.
I think that's the only one I'm gonna argue with you on. I think that is there more research, I'll look at it. That can be used again, for the same reason to stymie growth and expansion. And you cannot allow that to happen. You cannot allow it to happen. So really, that's the only one I'm gonna really argue with you on, sir. I'm gonna leave it there, we're gonna move it for the next time.
So would you say Pocomoke was
I think
2,000?
it was 2,000. I was looking at Berlin's and that was $525 plus advertising costs as an example.
So if you, go ahead. Okay.
Well, in your experience down in Pocomoke, could the fee be lower because they simply just don't have that much land left to annex before they hit Virginia?
The 3 or 4 annexations that I dealt with in Pocomoke were all simple, isolated lots, and I thought that was excessive for a simple, single-family lot being annexed. And they were along the highway going toward the Virginia border that needed sewer access.
Just family lots?
One single-family lot.
Oh,
Okay. Let me bring that one down.
yeah. So you want to do some more research
We
and
could look
let us
at more
know?
comparisons.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I was gonna talk
That was
about
your
one
question?
too.
How about you?
I'm good.
Anything else good?
Yeah, no, I just
right.
wanted to make sure.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
This is under the category of planning, zoning, subdivision related fees or commercial site plan review. For example, right now it's at 25 cents per square foot. I use an example of a 20,000 square foot office building times 25 cents per square foot. That would be a $5,000 commercial site plan review fee. I'm recommending that be adjusted simply to a flat fee of $500. To charge, in the example, $5,000 for a commercial site plan review, I think was excessive.
Okay, I agree with you.
Subdivision approval for a concept plan, there was a fee of $200 from staff's perspective. I don't believe it's appropriate charge just for a simple review of a concept plan. Recommend no fee for that. For preliminary and final plat with 5 or fewer units, the existing fee was $225, and we're recommending that it stay at $225. For preliminary and final plat for over 5 units, the current formula was $25 plus $5 per lot. I use an example for a 200 lot subdivision. That would equal $25 plus $5 per lot at $1,025. We do recommend an adjustment there to $50. Or I'm sorry, $10 per lot. The example then would be a 200 lot subdivision. That would equal, the adjustment also would be $50. $50 plus $10 per lot would be $2,050. So it goes from $5 per lot to $10 per lot. And a $50 flat fee adjustment, as opposed to the $25 fee.
So you're doubling?
Yeah.
And which one is that?
That's for preliminary and final plats for over 5 units. That would cover both the preliminary and the final plat fee. We wouldn't break it out between the two.
I found Pocomoke's annexation if you guys want it.
Okay, yes.
It's 2,000 plus 100 per acre. And what Dan had on his was 5,000 plus 25 per acre. So they have a lower base fee, but then they charge
Charge more
triple
per acre.
So 2,000 plus 100 per acre.
Okay. That's good to know.
Moving on to engineering review fees, and this is a category that, we may want to ask, for example, our in-house engineer what their thoughts are on it. But for example, if someone files for a major subdivision plan that has a lot of infrastructure, utility plans, plat drawings, what is fair then to charge for, GMB's, for example, their, expertise on reviewing those plans to make sure they're up to code, as well as any inspection costs that they would be involved with. So the current engineering fee, for example, for a subdivision or multifamily road plan, current fee is $1,000 plus $300 per unit. I don't have a recommendation on that, other than we may want to get another opinion or keep it the same. And that is carried over onto the next page as well, some additional information on engineering review fees.
So that's what it is now. Okay.
I really don't have a good handle on what's reasonable or not, as far as when you involve third-party engineering firms, since we don't have an engineer on staff that can review these. We would have to use an outside third party to check those plans, make sure they're accurate, up to date, current with standards, do inspections. So that is something that, we could run it by GMB or other agencies to check, other towns and see what they charge.
Yeah, let's double check on that. Figures. Questions from council?
You finish? No, you.
It goes on to the next page as well.
Yeah,
So under engineering review fees, for example, for sewer and water utility plans. This is an example of that plan up to 25 units was $400. And if that's a 25 units, it goes up to $400 plus $20 per unit and so forth. That carries over also into water plans. Again, there's a formula there. Engineering review fees for a subdivision plat. Again, there's a fee there, for example, $500 plus $10. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories of engineering review fees that are currently on the books.
These fees that we're talking about now, have they been, they're on the books, they've been applied in terms of previous development?
I believe so. Yeah.
No, has it or has it not?
I wasn't here before any development plans came through, so I can't speak to that. But
On the last development, you wouldn't know.
we haven't had any plans since I've been here that would require engineering review.
I understand, I said, but I'm referencing the last development, that development out there.
Yeah, I'd have to do more research, but finding
Please,
those,
yeah, is it gonna be difficult?
I would have to rely on accounting to research that.
That's okay, we'll take it. I'd ask it, take, we're gonna review the,
I can offer there's been no such activity in the 5 years that I've been here. So it would be back before then.
I have Salisbury's annexation fee, which I think is where Dan got it from. So Salisbury's is 500 just for the application. Then for the first partial of 1 acre, 5,000 plus legal, planning, consulting, and other related administrative fees. Then it's 500 per acre. And they also add in their staff review time and city attorney review time as additions. So it's 5,000 plus.
And that's a good point about, in addition to whatever fee council decides on for an annexation, do you want to consider charging for additional staff or legal counsel time?
Right. Cause that comes into play. We have to cover our own fees. Okay, that's good to hear.
Maybe Dan can find Berlin's, but those are the ones I could
That's the ones,
find while we're sitting here.
that information will
And
be helpful.
council, I would say that this is probably one of the issues ongoing that has and is gonna continue to be a hard nut to crack. We are not Salisbury. We are not Berlin. This is Snow Hill. And in moving toward growth and development, I think to align ourselves in categories and with other towns or townships certainly is a wise thing to do, but we need to be prudent in terms of what it is that we want to actually do. Again, we are in the process now of our comprehensive plan. And I think that we must, if we're going to be effective and successful in terms of being responsive to what the citizens want, not rush to judgment on some of these things that prices us, I believe, is going to price us, make it very difficult for developers and others to come here. So, I understand the rationale and certainly wise to look in terms of the research that shows what others are doing. I think that to the specifics of where we are, we don't want to create something that's going to put us in conflict with what the citizens of this town want, and which is going to be expressed. So I would just caution that in terms of locking in these particular recommendations in conflict with where we're going, we will remain where we are.
Council, any other?
One other category, if I may,
Yeah.
at the bottom of that second page with the engineering review fees, there's planned development district fees. Now, I believe this was specifically written for the Summerfield development at that time, where they anticipated possible changes over a major site plan over time. So they wrote step 1, step 2, step 3 type fees, if there were going to be changes, all woven into this planned development district section of the zoning code. You really don't have a response to that, and in my opinion, I think that whole chapter may want to be reviewed. But at the present time, I'm not in a position to recommend any changes. Really don't anticipate any planned development district applications at the present time, but it could be potentially applied to the new Summerfield annexation. Just for example, a step 1 fee is $1,000 base plus $15 over 30 acres. Again, it largely depends on the size of the development, but that's what's
Right, I
currently in
think
the
it's the
books.
size, so, yes, the annexation.
Then they have additional categories of a minor amendment to a fee planned development district and a major amendment. A minor amendment is $300. A major amendment would be $1,000.
Okay.
Similar in context to a
I
zoning
like
map
that way
amendment.
it's, broken down. I like that part. Okay, next, any council remarks? Okay, next page, last page.
Final page is broken up into zoning violations and code violations. Currently on the books for a first zoning code violation, it's $100. That's recommended to stay the same. Second or more offense, use the spelling, that's $500 with a proposed fee of $500. A third or more offense is $1,000. Now, there's no existing fee under a third or more offense. Proposed fee would be $1,000. If I recall, Maureen, I think state law went up to $5,000 for.
Yeah, last year, state law, the max a municipality or county could ever charge for a citation outside of like a critical area violation was at 1,000, and it's been changed to 5,000.
I support that change, actually. I wasn't sure if the law changed it to 1,000 or 5,000, but I would have advocated for a $5,000 fee. If that's serious and they're getting fine the third time, it needs to hurt.
Needs to hurt. Gotta have teeth in it. Okay.
A lot of times what your code could say, you don't necessarily have to pick, you can certainly pick, but otherwise it's up to 5,000, up to 5,000, up to 5,000. Internally, it could be, we do this for this to help it be easy for staff, but you don't have to tie yourself down in the code if you don't want to. You can if you want to, but you don't have to.
But you can use it up to.
Yeah, but in the code, if you say our first fine's $500, then you cannot change it. Unless you do a code amendment.
There are different approaches to zoning code violations and property maintenance code violations. One thing that struck me about Denton, they had a whole spreadsheet tied to each specific property maintenance violation, meaning the violation wouldn't be tied to the severity of the property maintenance code or zoning code violation. For example, a very minor grass violation would be potentially $50. Whereas a major health hazard would be $1,000, and a whole
Makes
spreadsheet tied to that, which I thought had a lot of merit, but it's probably more than what we can fight off right now.
Okay. That makes sense. You want to say anything else about these additional code violations?
Code violations, abandoned vehicles, well, there is language that says we have that authority, police chief to tow vehicles. I do recommend changing an existing fee that's referenced in chapter 182 from $100 to $400.
Mhm.
I don't know where illegal lawn watering has come into play in my experience, but that would stay the same at a $25 fine. I'm sorry, the first offense, second offense, set up at first offense would be 25. And the
25.
second offense would be 15. Guess we'd have to have an extreme drought before maybe that comes into play. Dog control, again, I'm not sure what that's referencing. If, for example, a dog that's not on leash or what that fine structure was intended. I didn't read chapter 1.8 as to its applicability, but the first offense is $25 and the second offense was $50 in the books. We do recommend consideration to upping that fee to something more serious at $200 and $400.
Yeah, with the problems we've had, I think that's makes sense.
Also in the books is the tractor trailer fine. I'm not sure if that's referring to parking those type of vehicles on public streets. That's $100 and would stay the same at $100. Housing code violations, that's a very specific reference at $400 for a violation. I recommend changing that to a first, second, and third offense. First offense would be 100, second, 500, a third or more offense would be 1,000. Grass cutting violations, right now in the books, it's $25 plus the cost of mowing. I recommend that be considered adjusting it to a first and second offense at $100 plus cost of mowing and a second offense of $200 plus cost of mowing. No parking violations, that's probably under the purview of our police department, but that on the book right now is $25. I don't have a recommendation. So I have in terms of fees.
Okay, questions? Councilperson Hopkins?
Yeah, I'm looking at the first offense for grass cutting violation at $100. Number of our residents being elderly, that can sting at $100, especially if, you know, they've got to get out there and push the lawnmower in the heat and at 100 degrees. And I mean, in the past, you've given them a warning first, and then if you needed the town to come cut it, you would cut it at a fee, however much we have to cut. If you had an acre, that's different than cutting somebody's 15-foot square patch of grass. So that one at $100 plus the cost of mowing, I think would actually become pretty onerous to some of our elderly residents in this town, especially in the middle of summer. It's gonna be hard for them to be outside.
Keep it the same for the first offense?
The first offense is what, $25? I would give them a warning and then the $25.
Yeah, we typically do
Okay.
send out a warning.
Yeah,
letter.
don't we give them warnings
Yeah.
first? Right, okay.
And then they can contact a neighbor who might be able to. Gives them at least. You don't wanna hurt people out on fixed income for not mowing the grass.
And I
On-
think the
on-
same
Go ahead.
as far as this, housing code violation, depending on what the violation is, and just like, Councilman Dumpkin said, if it's somebody elderly, and how are, these, we're putting prices on these codes, but then we need to look in how they're enforced.
Our standard practice always is to give a warning.
Mhm.
Finding people is our last resort. Because it does take staff time, legal time to take them to district court if they don't pay the fine. But again, it depends on the severity of the violation sometimes. But this is, one suggestion on how to break it down. $400 fee for a very minor housing code violation currently on the books seems excessive.
I agree with you there. And can you just give us some examples of like a minor, like code violation for housing?
Somebody's front porch is caving in, for example. That would be a $100 first offense. They fail to fix it up, it could be escalated to a $500 fine and so forth.
So in your letter, you, give the violation in the letter and say this has to be fixed within what, 30 days?
Typically, yeah.
30 days, and then if that doesn't happen, then the fine begins.
You get somebody here in 30 days, if it's a porch that's falling in, that it's still tight. It's fair, not a lot.
Well, typically, if they're making an effort,
Yeah,
If they're making an effort,
okay,
that we,
contract plans, we're not gonna issue
we'll
a fine.
work with them until, okay.
Absolutely.
I have a question for back to the graph again. How is it currently working now? That, there's a neighborhood graph, having absentees, landlord in particular, and you issue the warning violation. And then what happens? When can, then the fine gets imposed and then the grass gets cut by the town, is that correct?
Well, I think the way it works is that we send that notice out to that property owner of record. And we give them a certain amount of time, and I think it's actually, if I recall, 5 days, that it has to be cut. Then 5 days of notice. And if it's not, then we order it cut, and that's when the $25 plus the cost of mowing is assessed to them. Put on basically their record. They don't pay it. Where we could issue additional fines, but that becomes potentially a lien on their property if they don't pay it.
is this for grass that's a foot?
And inches, I think, is the standard.
What is it, 10 inches? I thought it was.
Some communities have 8. My opinion, 10 inches is too high, but on the books, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, I got weeds in my front yard, 10 inches, and the rest of it, that's.
Yeah, the weeds grow
Yeah.
always higher.
What piece of
Yeah, the
vegetation
ground.
you're measuring,
Goes to
gives
the
you a
ground.
very different answer.
Okay, any other questions?
Next question.
What would you
Yeah.
like to ask?
These are existing fees. How old are they? How long have you had these existing fees?
I don't know when the last time they've been amended. My feeling is they've been on the books for a long time.
Yes.
So these fees could be fees that were
20
put in
years
place
old.
20 years old, so we're still planning on using fees from 20 years ago.
I believe that's probably accurate.
As the world has spun 720. Market went down 2008, COVID. The world has,
That's a
the
good
cost
point.
of living has gone up and we're still trying to use existing fees from past. Can't roast no hell like
It's a
that.
good, that's a good one.
So the real question is, what's the cost? The cost of reviewing.
Paperwork,
That,
certified mail.
yeah, because
It's a lot that goes into these things.
that's a good point, because
Certified mail letters are like approximately $10 right now. 8, 9,
certified letters 10.
I'm still holding firm on the grass clipping that. For our numbers.
I agree.
Still holding on to that.
Well, maybe that could be another thought of. I know that the police chief, they used to have elderly that they checked on. But maybe that's a way that will come to be looked at.
Yeah, grass has, my experience, always been a little bit of a problem in terms of what's fair regarding enforcement. For example, I think I gave some thought when I started here back in July, possibly to look at our ordinance. What I've seen in the past is that ordinance isn't clear. You end up sending a notice every time you see a grass violation on the same property. And that's not fair. I mean, in my opinion, they should be getting 1 or 2 notices at the most at the beginning of the growing season. If they continue to violate that, we shouldn't be required to send out a certified mail every time they're in violation. 1 or 2 notices is adequate. After that, we have to keep mowing it, we're gonna charge them. That's just my opinion. But
And how many homes do we have? I mean, you went through last summer,
I think
so
we only had 4 or 5 violations.
4 or 5, yeah.
So that $500 of postage that you have in your budget for upcoming, you feel that's gonna be sufficient for the. Okay.
Any other questions?
That can also depend on how the violations start going. Enforcement.
All right, thank you for all that work. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to B, Willow Street surplus property sale to Mr. Preston Reed. And Mr. Reed is here to update us on the property and what's been going on. You've been with us before and we just want to have an update. So if you want to come on up front and talk to us about it.
This will be short.
Okay, that's okay. We just need a little update. You want to stand here or sit, either one. Okay,
There is no update because I'm waiting for the town.
okay,
So however you vote, that will determine next steps because I can't get a mortgage or funding until I own the property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't start spending. Dan said I couldn't apply for variances or building permits or code items until I take possession of the property. And we can't determine variances for the pump station until the town decides if they want to move forward. So I'm waiting for the town. Does that make sense?
yes, we just need to know what
Yeah.
you were waiting on or what has been accomplished or.
Yeah.
So Dan's working with you on the variances.
Well,
you're
no,
saying,
I can't, he said I could not apply for variances or anything like that
Until you get
Oh,
Yeah.
until you own the property.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go ahead and apply for some of those so we can determine, but
You have to own the property.
yeah.
Okay,
So I've been in a holding pattern.
okay,
So I mean, where you guys left it is that you had the public hearing to hear from the public about whether the property was no longer needed for public use and whether it could be disposed of. You had that hearing on March 31st. So it's in your lap to make a decision about whether you think the property is no longer needed for public use and you want to dispose of the property to X person for X amount.
Question, Attorney, may I ask? Now, then the proper motion at this point is disposing of the property. And I heard you say, I think, in essence, again, in the disposition of or the disposing of it, to offer the property to,
So you need to schedule it at your regular meeting. You
Regular
guys
meeting.
need to make a decision that you want. So one, you have to declare the property no longer needed for public use and that it's, surplus. Then two, the hearing was about selling it specifically to Preston, that you want to sell it to Preston and what amount. And then from there, we go down the process of doing the ordinance, settlement, and the deed to transfer the property. So yes, there needs to be a motion, but at a regular meeting, not at the work session.
Not here.
I understand that. I
Yeah.
understand.
Yes.
Okay, so
Are we all good on the price of $1 for property?
I'm
Yes.
not. For $1.
I will just say that I have to take out a mortgage for, like, I've set a goal of 400 is the max. I mean, if you can find somebody else that will pay you for it and renovate it, I will step back. I just don't think that's gonna happen. And then you have to pay for the demolition. And then you still have a vacant lot in the floodplain. It's not gonna be really desirable. So I know $1 sounds cheap, but it's gonna be a financial, not struggle, but a leap for me to do this. And until the apartments are rented, I have to front all that up, I have to carry the mortgage cost starting on day one. So it's not like an insignificant amount of money.
so what were you thinking about, Councilperson Fletcher?
I think at least half of what we have to demolition or, yeah, not $1. $1 is not good. I looked at,
And looking at the appraised value or what?
I looked at the appraised value again, but I wasn't gonna go by the appraised value because it has been sitting there. So I've taken that in consideration, but I would say half of. And we were the cost of demolition would be $9,000. So I'm saying $9,000, which, let's see. We're here.
Can I just point out that I'm gonna have to, according to Dan, I'm gonna have engineering, I'm gonna have to pay all these fees that you guys are imposing. I mean, you're gonna get all that money back in fees. So I wouldn't if it's gonna get too expensive, I'm just not gonna be able to do it. And I'm not eligible for grants because I'm an individual, not a nonprofit.
Right.
So,
I mean, I'm fine with $1. You're providing us with the housing in an area we desperately need it. And probably pretty quick, right? In another year or so too.
two max.
Two max,
And then, I mean, you're gonna start getting property tax.
right, we'll get property taxes from this, Margaret, to take that into consideration.
And honestly, some of the other groups that I've talked to that.
They're in favor of the $1 value.
Of the dollar,
Yes.
Honestly, I feel like you're probably the best. Go in there and rehab it from when the work I've seen you did.
I'm on board. I appreciate
I
it.
would prefer that leaving take the land for $1. I mean, it's the most derelict building in town.
Except for the one on Broad Street.
There's that one too.
That one's beyond salvage. I think.
that's bad, yes. But Councilperson Fletcher, let's hear you out.
And it says. I think I'm looking at it right. It's 16, which would be half, but all of that property, but if we're voting on it, I'm outvoted right now here.
We're not voting this evening.
No, I know
but
we're not.
We're
voting.
hashing it
But
out,
yes,
but we
and
need to
that's-
hear your side.
Yeah, and that's my reason. I just don't see $1. I know it's gonna be taxes back
Property.
to us. It will take a while, but, and you are the only one the African American did apply first, but then they didn't go through. But I have talked to you before, and I did say that $1 to me just didn't do it, but if you would offer something else,
Well, I would just keep in mind that the more money I have to spend on purchasing it, on fees, on all that, that's less money I have to actually renovate it. And so, I mean, this is a building that's been vacant since the eighties, right? I think
it's
that's,
probably
I
been,
think like
Probably before
85,
that,
something like
right?
that.
might been a little bit before the 80s.
And they're not big units, so like, I'm not gonna be able to get high rental fees, because they're pretty small. So,
They are small.
But are you
Okay,
still
there.
looking at the price that you had told us for a rental?
between 1,500 and 1,700 is probably gonna be what I'm looking at. And even with that, like after taxes, insurance, and the mortgage on 400,000, I might clear 10,000 a year. But keep in mind, this is a historic building, it's always gonna need something, there's always gonna be repairs, so, you know, I mean, it's not gonna be a huge moneymaker.
Say what you said again.
I said, I'm really hoping that he's gonna have luck to do it. I've seen him do, but this is the most derelict one I've seen you.
The one on Martin Street, the whole back half of the house was collapsing.
Was it?
Yeah.
It looks nice now.
See, I never went around like the back, but I know the wood was not as bad as this, but that wood was terrible too.
Look, this
For that
structure,
house.
well, I mean, the structure is very level and straight if you look at it. It doesn't, it's not sagging and caving in. So that's why I think it can be saved, but again, adding more cost to it makes it less and less viable.
I appreciate that, but you're not doing this to make a ton of money off.
I mean, it would take me, what,
Yeah.
40, I'll be dead, 40 years before if nothing goes wrong in that 40 years, for me to,
So you're taking a chance
Yeah.
on.
and I doubt I'm gonna live to be 95. So,
You never know. Never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So, Maureen, so at the next meeting, we could vote on all 3 of those. So will you have an ordinance ready, or do we need to,
So
what do
what
we
we've done
need
before
to
is-
do?
I think on the agenda one, you'd have the actual decision, right? Because you've never voted on declaring that the property is surplus and that you want to sell it.
Okay.
But we could also probably have the ordinance on it later on the agenda,
Later
or
on.
back to back.
But not back to back. One, that is the decision first, and then look at and have the ordinance. Okay.
To get the ball rolling.
Okay. Any other questions for Preston?
I just want to thank you for what you do.
Thank
You're a great inspiration. And these issues that we argue on about money, I don't think it's really anything personal, but, I think aside from, you do a great job and a great effort to the township. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Pollock.
Yes, I just, in the interest of being thorough and complete here, I just want to understand, if the town should sell the property to Mr. Reed and he goes through the variance process, if for some reason the variances are not approved, he'll still own the property. This is not a contingent, not a sale contingent upon him being able to get his future approvals, that once he owns it, it's his. And if he applies for a variance for this or that and it's turned down, then he still has a whole building on the property to do
Dan
with.
has assured me that the variances will be likely approved.
Well,
Oh, he has.
Quite said that.
I can say it that way, or you're not denying it.
Take that back.
Well, I'll just say this.
I can always gift it back to the town if the variances.
I'll just say this for the record, it's the Board of Zoning Appeals that does grant variances or doesn't, not Dan. And nobody here can guarantee what
What they will decide.
adjudicatory board would do, for the record.
Speak to that.
Anything else? Okay, all right, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you.
Okay. All right, we're going to see update on vacant property registration program. Mr. Brandwee, I think you're up again.
Yeah, just an update. We did send out 6 notices, Monday, what we believe are 6 vacant non-residential buildings that, have various dates tied to some aspect of the enforcement, such as they may have 30 days to file a registration form, which would tell us what their plans are, why it's vacant and so forth. As well as providing them documentation that we observed it being vacant for a certain period of time. There are some that may be required to pay the first year registration fee of $500 if it's not occupied by a certain time, which generally would be July 1st for this first year. As a reminder, the first notices went out on June of 2025 with a deadline to register September of 2025 or 90 days later. Staff admittedly did not carry through at that time for enforcement. We put it aside, so we picked it up again just recently. And we identified 6 buildings that we felt were necessary to follow through with, and that's with that right now. So we did do some minor modifications to the forms, I think with the assistance of the Economic Development Main Street Director, some minor changes there. Beyond that, our goal is to try and meet those objectives identified in that chapter as far as why and what the ordinance was needed for, just to improve our healthy business environment in our downtown.
Okay.
That's where it's at.
All right, questions, council?
This is the same time limit for 90 days, time limit from 25 to the current limit they have to respond.
They had the response of 30 days to get the registration form back.
So it changed from 25 to 26. Time, response time.
Yeah, the original time was 90 days, but now we're giving them 30 days, I believe, to get it back to our office.
Question? Okay. Questions, Councilperson Fletcher?
Of course, as you know of, so I know you're new to here. But some of these addresses that these notices go out to, they get. I say that for all, like housing and commercial property. Do we know that they're legit? You know, that they're actually going to address that they're not being, or do the notices get returned?
Last year, we don't have a good handle on proving that those notices, absolutely proving those notices were sent out. I believe they were. And I believe there were about 20 notices that were sent out by my predecessor in June of 2025. And we only had 2 responses, I think, 2 or 3 responses back from those notices at that time. So, not sure what the question is then, as far as.
One thing that Dan does do for like the businesses, we get their address that they provide to the SDAT as their contact address. So you'd hope that's legitimate.
Well, that's what I'm
Address.
saying. People
Yeah.
pay taxes, but it's not actually the people sometimes that is that.
It's not required that we send it out by certified mail, but you have proof that they were mailed out on Monday this time.
Any other questions? Okay, let's go to D, 2026 Library Riley Fund request. Mr. Pollock, can you bring us up to date? And in your packet, there is a description of the budget.
Yes, this is an annual exercise that we go through. I think it's been explained, maybe prior to Councilman Lumpkin's coming on. That there was an endowment provided to the library many years ago. They come to the town because we are, and maybe Teron can explain the legal connection, but we're somehow responsible for approving the ultimate spending from their fund. They give us a request each year describing what they want to do with for that year. The one you have before you is requesting approval to spend $40,000 in the new year. It breaks down by category where they want to put that spending. But in order to go forward, they need the blessing of the town council to do that.
So if you look in your packet, there's a description of their past budget and then the 2027, what the request. And then they break it down on the second page. They give a scholarship. And then they have additional materials, programming, archival supplies, garden area, study room, children, feed, fun, and continued education. For a total of 40,000. Any questions?
They invited, cause weren't they usually invited, I think the last two times.
They came
They came
before.
and like
Mhm.
They plan to come
explained what
Tuesday
they
night.
would.
It'll be on. the
They'll
agenda
be,
Tuesday.
it'll be on the
Okay.
agenda. Tuesday. And then, I mean, but if you have any questions now,
No, I have no
if we
question.
had, we could prepare them, but they'll be coming. Any questions?
Rick, who's from the town serving on that committee now? If I recall, when that was established, we had a person serving. I remember at one point, it seemed like it was Fred Grant.
And I don't have a ready answer for you. I asked the same question of the lady from the library that corresponded with me. And she was actually having trouble finding the roster herself.
I would like to know that, and whoever that person is, and that you appoint this time, or the council appoints this time, should hold that person accountable. While it's not a big sum of money, our participation in that library, in terms of going forward, is critical, particularly as it's expanding now. And we do these things and not hold ourselves accountable. We err. And it's an error not to be in contact with them and work with them for the growth of Snow Hill and engagement in the library. So I would like to know that, and I would recommend strongly that whoever the council, whoever you appoint to it, I think you should make certain, in my opinion, that person maintains and reports back to this body to let them know what's taking place at the library. It's right here in Snow Hill, and you just, there you go.
When I was on council, I was on the committee, but, I was just called one time and they went over everything, just like they're gonna come here and go over everything with everybody. But that was all my participation.
So are you thinking that you were the committee as far as the town
Yes,
goes?
yes.
I see.
Any other questions?
I mean, my only
You got a
one
question?
idea is that they're spending 5,000 on that garden area right there and 1,000 on the scholarships.
Yeah.
So. That's a little disjointed, isn't it? And the scholarships
Sounds
going
like
forward,
it.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think so.
So
That's all-
that's
that's
a
all-
question
that's all.
which you would like us to get
For them, yeah,
for them.
yeah. sure.
Okay.
I think that's part of their, and I agree with you, that scholarship, but, I think that's their area of, like, what they're focusing on renovating, making it beautiful.
Even
when they're
Bigger, are they
renovating.
making it bigger?
I think they're gonna do something where I'm not sure, but I think it's a cover, or they're gonna have something like
Okay.
people can be outside
Okay.
and.
So maybe they can
Maybe they can
describe,
explain what's going on.
explain it.
And, I was reading in, I think it's in here, and they're trying to make it, handicap accessible from
Accessible.
the back.
Yeah,
too.
I saw that.
So I'm figuring that might
That might
be
run it up there.
why, is that $5,000?
Okay.
It says secure a
Yeah,
grant to
thanks.
assist the branch in
Fine.
building an ADA ramp at the back entrance, which currently is inaccessible to
Yeah,
those
I
with
think that's
mobility
wise.
issues.
So I don't think
But
it was that,
They got a grant, right?
Yeah, grant.
I don't think that was that high last year, that they,
For the garden.
yeah.
Unless the mold, you know.
You never know.
But they do give a good explanation and, they
Yeah.
really do.
And Mr. Pollock, maybe we can get a update on that garden?
I'll mention that to her when
Okay,
I, confirm with Tuesday.
okay. All right. Okay, moving on to, E, final budget work session, finance staff attending. So Mr. Lewis is with us this evening. And okay. All right, so do you want to, review anything before council asks questions, or?
I'm not sure what we can, I thought I can review unless we have questions or we'll go to the budget again.
So we have this as the final meeting right now. And
I can recap.
you can recap for us?
We can start with a. Well, let me get to item. And I could just.
Because we've gone over every department.
We went over every department, we went, first we went over revenues, of course, talked about taxes, as far as revenues, we focus on property taxes, corporate and interest taxes as well. The only changes that we did make was for corporate property taxes, which we dropped down from $95,000 to $85,000 based on past years. We did increase the
$2 per 100
Yeah.
assessed value.
the 2%, 1.8.
That's on the second page under general comments
Right.
at the bottom of the page.
Was there any question about the revenue, as far as any thoughts, anything we discussed before? Anything come into play, anything come to mind about revenue? Part of it, if not, that I'll just move forward to each department and the expenses.
I don't know why.
Stuff.
I'm not gonna ask the question. I have it marked, but I don't know what, I didn't put my sticky on there.
Listed under.
Part of
Those name of our registrations. Oh,
Okay.
I know what it was. It, we budgeted 2026 for 28,000 and for 2027 it's budgeted for 25,000
Was under,
under, revenues for the general fund,
Mhm.
under 4047 landlord regulations.
so this is really based off of the number of rental places in town. I'm guessing this is the number that we have currently. So the cost of landlord registration was 1.5. times the amount of rentals, that's how we get our number. So
Right.
they probably were, I don't know if it's probably were sold or evacuated, that bring it down to $25,000, yeah. It could also be that the payments were made in the prior year already. I don't think that's what it is, I think that was just lower. No, don't claim the revenue, I'll start to go through to each department.
Let's go through.
The
Yeah, go
department.
to the department.
Right.
Mhm.
All right, we'll start with streets.
Mhm.
We'll go break that. So not much changes done in the street department. Randy wanted to keep it pretty much same as normal. This current year, didn't want to make too many increases based on, we'll say to a tight budget. Looking at you look at the salary part of it, there has been an increase in the salaries based on the number of, individuals we did added, rather individual public works. So there's currently, that's why it's been an increase, as far as operating expense, okay? We added another employee, so we added a supervisor into public works, which will cause an increase in the salary part of it, salary area, streets, on your streets.
So you added a supervisor, that means a position to be hired.
Not a position, not an additional position,
No, not as good. No,
because we still have. I think there was an opening, actually.
right,
I think there
correct.
was an opening.
Right.
Already in there that hadn't been filled.
Oh, sorry, not from last, no, we're not saying that I added a new.
No,
sorry,
we didn't add a new one. That's
I'm
what,
sorry,
that's
I'm
what she
sorry.
heard. That's what she heard, yeah.
No, I'm not, nothing has been added, it's the same budget that we had.
Same
first
budget.
Started one,
Yeah,
nothing,
Yeah.
which is why I was.
No.
No,
We-
there's nobody, nothing's been added, the budget is the same budget that we had from the start, when we, first meeting.
No, nothing's been
Mhm.
changed since we went over each department.
Right. And Randy Brett kept his operating expenses pretty tight, even this budget, this current budget, fiscal year 26, $486,000, 27 will be up $520,000, most of it based on the utility part of it, which we have electric, the high electric use of street lights. Other than that, not much of a difference. Any questions on part of the streets department? What do you have questions? Any questions?
Look, I'm looking.
No
I'm
worries,
trying, I
no
got
worries.
too many papers going at one time. Well, what color? I need to leave this one alone. I'm trying to look at it. Okay.
Confused,
Yeah.
What's next?
It,
Oh, you got one?
Since we didn't get what they requested, because that will always fall back on most of the time when they request for something. and capital improvement. So is there anything in here like he requested for another vehicle or dump truck or, cause you don't, I don't see this in here.
No, there was no,
No.
upon Randy's, no, there was no
No.
request for another vehicle or dump
No.
truck, no. And remember, just keep in mind, to keep the general, budget and the capital improvement budget separated, because this is what we're gonna be operating the town off of.
Right,
In
but
the
I
general,
still
but then
wanna,
the
as we're
capital-
going through, I wanna know, I'm just asking, I know it's not included with the regular.
Right, but I would say, this is gonna be the money that we have, and capital improvement is hopefully the grant money that we can get. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Go to parks, again, not much changes, for year over year. There has been an increases in inflation, but not much. Moved from $33,000 into 2026 to only $250 increase. Or like $200 in 2027. Or, of course, not a lot of activity that goes on there, mulch and supplies.
I mean, I see that I spent 5,000 on portable restrooms. I know we own that truck. Is that to service that truck?
This is the cleaning of the porta potties.
That's the ones that, the porta potties that are in the park,
Okay.
not the ones
Not that truck that we run out
right.
of Public Works, okay.
No, this is the cleaning of the porta potties, yeah.
Okay, that's fine, that's about all right.
Has it ever been mentioned to have, I mean, I know those bathrooms are there at that, concession stand. Ever been thought of bathrooms over there? That could save money, I mean, it costs money to build bathrooms, but then it could save money from having to pay for them to get, maintenance and.
To have bathroom built, I would say that would be something to, we Paul just got a grant for the third part.
Gorgeous.
I'm not sure how it will work, not my department, but if you can get another one.
Another grant.
Yeah, at some point. For our third part, at least what you're talking about, at least a concession stand.
Yeah, Sturgis is supposed to start building, I mean,
There's some in
August.
there, but it's in a concession stand.
Concession
That's
stand.
way on the opposite side that people usually go.
So maybe we talked about, and I guess we can add it to the
I believe.
capital improvement
Mhm.
budget to get
Mm-hmm.
at some point. 128. All right.
Yeah, he's bragging on his budget.
You did a good job.
So finance and administration, again, try to keep this as tight as possible to not have it look as if one is being blown water. And look at pretty much close to year over year. Not much increase. You do see a sort of a decrease, but I just say again, avoid that because Dan with his own line plans on, and that way we can view and see everything that he does from his department and not have it mixed in with administration. So you'll see a decrease, but just keep that in mind that it's gonna be a different, his lines are gonna be in his own department. And just review the salaries or operating expenses, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
That's corruption.
Dr. Lee, any questions?
This one,
Okay. Ms. Kelly Fletcher?
I see he has. I don't know how I overlooked this one. The legal fees for him, $15,000.
Yes. So the reason why they kind of touched on it a while ago was that he's going to be trying to get these fees, high the fees and points and stuff as it should be.
Yeah.
So there is possibilities of court visits that we might have to endure. In addition to that, it's going to be about conference plan too, because they're going to have court visits as well. So they legal, and then plus legal fees for meetings that will be for the department. So we want to make sure that we incorporate that as we move forward. That he will see.
I have a question about the computer services,
Computer services under,
administration. ITW, Merits, is that the new company we're going with out of Pocomoke or $60,000? He's on contract with them?
so I'm sorry, so when you look at these pages, so you see his name and you see the $6,000 right next to it, it's not $6,000 for him, it's $6,000 in total. So that's gonna be, computer software, utilizing him, our accounting software, all that's tied into it.
Is that 7014?
That should, yes, be right, 714.
Rusty Merritt was our new go-to person when we have issues right away that he can come in and do the hands-on troubleshooting for us. But through his advice, we were made aware of Telewire, is that the name, Candace? That is going to present the overall computer IT security and the computer systems and the software and everything that makes it all work. So they're kind of our anchor. Rusty is sort of our on-call man,
Rusty Merritt.
Rusty Merritt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
now, is he replacing the guy that was in
He would do what Mike Noyes used to do.
What's his name?
Noyes,
No.
Mike Noyes,
No,
Rusty Merritt from Oklahoma.
Oh, yes.
I hope Rusty is more,
Good.
has more of a bedside manner.
Does he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's really good.
does.
He's really good.
he does.
Okay.
Believe me, he does.
Does Rusty Merritt do like our website building? Is that who does it or
No,
who was doing our website building?
No, that's all.
that's all, that's all.
Okay,
Justin.
is that Justin?
Yeah, no, that's Civic Plus, that's, are we still paying them, or did we pay them one flat? Civic Plus,
That's the name of the web.
That's the one
Yeah.
that, yeah, they have a website.
but
yeah.
they're the ones who started it.
Yes, yeah.
They host it, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They have so.
So
but
is
Justin's one is
Yeah, make changes.
working on the information on it, but yeah, Civics Plus.
Yeah, we have Civic Plus, that's our host hour.
Yeah.
so that's under professional services. No, computer services, which one?
Computer.
14 or 17? No, 17 is DBF, so
Yeah, UV.
don't. No, look, I know what DBF is here for. That's what I have written. I know what it's written. That they still have some bills out.
This item in here where it says. I'm on the town manager discretionary fund. What is it?
I mean, the discretionary fund is a fund that can be utilized by the town manager.
For what?
The town manager. Usually it's not something that
What do you use that for, Ms. Pollitt?
Really, just-
Sounds like anything I want.
I'll give you a great example. So when Secretary Flora came and,
Who's responding?
oh, go ahead.
Oh.
Sorry.
Mr.,
I
I
was
mean,
just
Ms.
giving-
Ordinary, Candace, you can address this. Give an
An
example.
example would be like when Secretary Flora came for the planning commission from the state, right? We presented her with a lovely little plant flower from the downtown flower shop. That came from Rick's discretionary fund. And so when things like that come up, that he uses that fund for it, because it's not budgeted anywhere else. For like recognition, lunches, like things like that.
Professional administrative assistant days, we give them, flowers or a little gift. That's the kind of stuff with the discretionary.
It's not that much, but well, wait a second. I do have a question, and I'm not sure where it's appropriate to ask, but there's a young lady I haven't met sitting over there. And it seems
And
like
you
she's in
will,
the-
we'll
seems
do
like-
that in just a minute.
We'll
do that just a
I wanna see
minute.
where is it, budget, that's why I'm raising.
Yeah, we'll explain that. We'll explain that in a little bit. Okay, what else? Any other questions? Are we still on?
The move with planning and zoning. So what you see in planning and zoning is, there are a number of items that were pulled from administration that will fall under, that they utilize it. We put that out and put that under, into his own, section. And other things other items that he planned on, he had committed to get done in the fiscal year 2027. As operating expenses, do you have any questions?
I have a follow-up question if I may. Tell me in terms of discretionary funds in the total budget.
Mhm.
Are there other departments do all of the departments have discretionary funds in some fashion or not?
No.
No, it's just the town manager.
No one else has discretionary
No.
funds other than,
No, you don't see that anywhere in there, do you? On each department. Mr. Lee, you see any of the discretionary funds in the other departments? It's not there. So it's only with, Mr. Pollitt, the town manager.
And that's a fund that in the budget for many, I mean, didn't originate with me, it was there when I came.
Rick, I'm not trying to cut you short. I'm just trying to see where stuff lies, that's all.
It's one of those catch-all things that when things come up that aren't in the budget.
Certainly.
On water.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
no, I'm in. Am I
Are
going
you
in
trying to follow
order?
you?
I don't think I'm in order.
Who's on planning and zoning? Water is next after planning and
Uh-huh.
zoning, so you should be in order. Maybe.
Maybe not. I got it.
Hey, there's no question of planning
You
and
may-
zoning. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just turned around a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
So in water funds, we looked at what we got last year after the water rate results and what we've seen so far in 2026. We kind of budgeted the needed water sales is pretty much the same as this current year. No big change, no additional funding. And expenses, Well, I always say we commend Bobby for the work that he has done at the wastewater plant. He has, vastly reduced number of costs, expenses to the wastewater plant and has avoided a number of fines as well, which helps him to maintain a strong budget for the plant in water and in sewer. So at the top, you see the revenue for the water fund, and matching expenses, yeah, question.
Going backwards for a minute. So we had talked about postage the last time when we,
Post, we're talking about postage for the water fund, you did ask about that, the postage for the water fund was
yeah,
lower and then the sewer was higher. So part of that is, Bobby does send samples.
okay.
He does send water samples to the state.
Mhm.
There is one that's doing bulk of, it's like, 7 coolers that he then packaged for, water samples. And that's something that by state law, that has to be done. The cost is, is pretty hefty. We have the budget for that,
Right.
something that we cannot avoid doing, so.
Right. I think it was, I asked, where did it was administration for the, water bills.
Okay.
When they went out, the postage for that is under,
So last year, we went up, the post went up last year, from 69 cents to 74 cents, it was called, I think the $2,000 increase in postage costs, sending out mail.
so which one, what department was that one?
To send the water bills out,
Yeah.
that goes under administration.
Administration, okay. I got it. All right, that's my question. I had it on this one, but I just needed to know exactly which one. Write it on my note.
Mhm. Any questions on water?
Okay. Okay. All right, sewer.
Okay, yep, sewer, we actually reduced the sewer charges, cause, we really kind of saw a reduction in usage. So we didn't want to plan to have a large amount come through, so, that would cause the budget to be thrown off by $100,000, which we're trying to get the wastewater, cost with the sewer plant and operating figures in place as we speak. So we did, last year we budgeted for meter sewer charges, 1,452,000. This year, 2027, we're gonna budget for 1.284. And then, okay, matching expenses for that. I would say that we did, also, just going out there, we did plan that maybe we'll have three installation fees, of course, if we do, so it's still a wash. So you see right there, $34,000 for installations. It doesn't, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's a wash. It doesn't affect the budget. And just look at the expenses. If you have any questions on the expenses, what has to answer for that?
Okay, any other questions? We're good?
Great.
Okay, next. Is this police?
Please.
Please.
Yep. See that. Again, a lot of changes, of course, with time, but, there still is an open position for the police, but hasn't really been there. There has been some increase, you see a number of increases on there, but, they are reasonable increases based on, also expenses that have gone up. We have to match that for the police department to operate efficiently.
So on the salary page, the administration for police, is that included in his budget? It has 0, but is that space still open?
Let's see yours.
I see it on there, but I don't see it on here.
You see right here? The 0, because there's no current person in there. But you look here, that's the salary proposal for fiscal year 27. So because it's
So he don't
open,
have
if it's
one.
open, there's nobody here, it's open.
But I'm saying he, there's nothing there at all. Very bottom.
Oh, for administration, I'm sorry. right?
Yeah, that's
No,
what I was.
No. That's not included. Please want the, sorry, please want the second, the open position for the police station. Police officer.
All the legal services that we pay from the different departments, like in here, the police has got 5,000.
I'm sorry, for legal?
Yeah, my question is, are all, am I correct?
For the, okay, contract legal service, yeah, but they don't utilize, it's in there, but it's blank.
That's, my question is, all of the legal services are, that we get, I know that we have an attorney, our attorney here for administration, then you have another one for
Planning.
are they combined on the sheet? I'm trying
Let me
to,
say, okay, so we do legal services, as long as we have, legal service under with a figure, will be administration, planning and zoning, water, wastewater, and sewer. If you ask about the police and streets will fall under administration if that occurs. We need a utilization of that.
okay,
Mr. Lee, Taylor Donnelly that you see at planning commission stuff, I mean, she works for me. So she's my office, so she's included in that cost. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, the cost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Taylor that comes instead of me at like, Historic District Commission, Planning Commission, that's my office. She's included in that.
so, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah.
All of that is under. Thank you.
Any other questions on those?
All right.
Alright. Go to the museum.
I do have a question. Did he request any? I know you're saying keep it separate, but I'm asking while I'm in that department. Did he request for any vehicles? Or,
No. Chief requested a vehicle last year, which he just received. Okay, moving forward to the museum. So the museum has, the only thing the museum that it changed. From lines dealing with utilities and equipment and building maintenance for years. Are just supplied by the town. Within the current year, we had a $3,150 equipment building maintenance budget and a $7,350 museum grant operations budget. We got the sidewalks fixed, of course, that kind of took away the budget for maintenance, your maintenance. And due to the cost of utilities for as electricity and heating, it surpassed what we have with the had been in place for many years, which caused us to look at the actual expenses and make estimated changes to compensate for those costs. So you see 7,200 has gone up to 4,000, $800 increase, and the museum grant gone up to 12,000, as a $4,650 increase, which still just covers the expenses. Questions on the museum?
Questions?
Last, we have the fire department. They requested 185,000 years past. We, based on our budget, we kept that the same, no changes to the fire department. That, application, that's to a balanced budget.
Anything else?
Any
Any questions?
so now,
Now,
yeah. Explain this salary sheet. This here and this one that we just got,
all right.
cause this is lower than what it's saying the salaries are.
So this is a step program that's, the town has had in place for years, so, first year, second year, and third year, you get a step. percentage increase in your salary. I believe it's 3 to 5% increase. And after that, your steps go from the 3 year to 6 year, 10 year, 15, 20, 25, 30. This right here is a program per department, per position held. It's an increase, it's a salary increased per program. And what it, I mean, that's what it does. It keeps it from spreading wildfire pretty much to requesting a lot of money, so.
It's kind of the structure that we use to pay employees. It's not like you get 20,000 more, you have to follow that structure, and when you get raises a step or whatever, that's what you follow there when you come on board to work for the town.
So it's, yeah. And you're saying that that's more than, that's not, I think, not sure about your question.
It's determined by how many years.
Yeah, it's a program that, so the step is a salary increase. And it goes by the years of service. So in the first year, they get a step percentage. It's the first 3 years. Then after that, it goes, the next step that they will get, or salary increase will be at 6 years. And the next one will be, I think it's 10 years, then 15. So like that, after that, it's like every 5 years. And they get a salary increase.
So it rewards people who've been here longer.
Correct.
Town manager just said to give yourself 5% raise. All right. Okay.
Any other questions generally about whole budget?
I like being able to see.
Okay.
So did, okay, so
Good.
now I'm waiting for it, yeah, because like Mr. D said, we see somebody new over there, but it's not on here.
Okay, so this is the time. We're finished asking questions. Mr. Pollitt, would you kind of give us a briefing on Ms. Duncan's appearance at our meeting this evening?
Sure. I've got good news and I've got good news. One, we've been able to add the Honorable Ms. Tori Duncan to our staff. And it hasn't cost us any money in the budget. In fact, we'll probably save a few dollars. As you all know, when Candace came in, she has just been, godsend for our organization. Not only is she an expert at HR and basic administration, she's our morale officer. She keeps us all in high spirits, morale, what's the word, not morality? What's the word for the spirit of things at the town hall?
Morale.
Morale. Morale at town hall.
That's for every workplace.
Yeah,
Can't
every
forget that
Yeah.
Morale has just been great at town hall, over the last couple of years. And Candace, just couldn't come along at a better time and done so well for us all, which helps us with our performance on behalf of the folks who pay for us. Candace, is very, very busy and her talents are in great demand. And Candace told us several weeks ago that she was going to have to cut back. That she just wasn't able to maintain the pace and do all on her shoulders.
Okay.
And we were faced with actually losing Candace. And so we talked about how can we find a way to keep her and still keep the work going. And our solution was to take her full-time position and to divide it into 2 part-time positions. So Candace will continue to work 3 days a week. She is going on an extended leave of absence right after this week for the rest of May. She'll be back in early June. But we went through an interview. We advertised the position for a part-time administrative assistant. The mayor and I interviewed several people. We had very good qualified candidates apply for the job. Ms. Duncan was our successful choice. She'll be coming in 3 days a week as our administrative assistant, part-time administrative assistant. Candace will continue as our part-time HR person, and other jobs are shared with Tori. We've got it structured so that Candace will be here Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Tori will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so that they'll have an overlap of one day on Tuesdays, which of course is our busiest day. But we're looking so forward to trying this. We admitted this is an experiment. We wanted so much to keep Candace, but her job, the job clearly requires somebody on board all the time, and so we're very optimistic that Tori's going to fill the bill. Tori can tell us a little bit about herself. She is from Snow Hill. Many of you probably already know her or her family, but as I say, the good news is we've got what I think are 2 very important positions covered, and that, because they're both part-time, they get no benefits other than the joy of working with the team. But from a budgetary impact, it'll save us a little bit of money.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe we can expand those positions in the future, so. But Tori, you left us for a while, the town, and now you're back, and you missed your family?
Yeah, miss family, miss the sense of community. Knew I wanted to come home and just get involved in any way that I could. And when the job opened up, I figured that would be a great opportunity to get my hands dirty.
Yeah,
You made me feel old.
Yeah.
We just want to say we're so glad that you're a part of our team now, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
And I hope you let us know what you need along the way, and we'll help you in any way. She will. Oh, yeah, I don't think she's real shy. She doesn't, yeah, so.
I've come out of my shell.
You have?
Yeah.
You have, okay, okay.
She's
Well,
not Janae.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
really?
true. Yeah, Janae's a lot more outspoken than I am, but
Okay,
yeah, I'm
But-
a little bit more reserved. but-
yeah, I thought you guys were sisters at first.
I know.
We're almost, actually, right? Cousins.
Cousin.
Cousin.
First cousin.
Right, right. Okay, well, thank goodness you're here. Any questions from council about that? Okay.
Doesn't increase the budget. Doesn't increase my beautiful budget.
Your big,
You're
beautiful.
very
budget.
you're very territorial about your budget, aren't you?
Well, it worried me too as a tech side. Treasure.
All right, have comments from the public? Wish to speak. Let's see, Fran Price.
You got it.
I'm good.
Okay.
Do you need to sit? Or can you come up? Okay.
If you don't mind.
Give us your address, please.
My address is 210 North Washington Street, Snowville. And I would like to talk first about signs. There's going to be a fee for the signs. What about the signs that are painted on the storefront? So many people have, rather than put up a sign, have painted on there. Is that considered a sign? I think they're lovely. But are you talking sign that swings in the breeze?
Are you talking about fees and fines
Yeah.
or signs?
Yeah.
Not that I know
That's
of.
number one.
Not that I know of.
We see his going, he should have been.
Yeah, he's not here. Well, we can ask him.
Okay. That was number one. Number two. The company that I work for received a letter from planning and zoning. I didn't get one. It says it's the second notice, but we never got the first. But I understand that that goes back to the former situation that we had. And this notice declares that my building at 204 North Washington has 4 vacancies. That's $2,000. Well, okay. This was determined, one of my favorite ways that it was determined was the lack of visible activity in certain storefronts. Love that one. Anyway, I have 1 vacancy in that building. The end where Heidi was with her facial and massage business had a major mold problem. $5,000 later, it was remediated and repaired. So consequently, nobody should go in there. I have a woman who went in at the very beginning of April to try it out to see how her product would do in this area. She's having a little health department issue, but she has a sign on the door, she's ready to go. Next to her is vacant. Next to her is the tax service that I have moved from the little front and put her there. And the little front part is used intermittently for classes, displays, and so on from the gallery. I have 1 vacancy. And hopefully I will have that rented before the time is up. The person that occupied it and tore it up, so I have to make major repairs in there, left on January the 10th. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rita Williams,
Well,
can you come up front? Please,
Yeah,
and state
really.
your address, Honey Bunny.
Williams, 207 Commerce Street.
Okay.
However, the person that I really needed to ask questions and address is gone.
Okay.
And, so the next time I think he should have to speak, so we can ask him questions.
We didn't know
Oh.
you needed to ask anything, otherwise we would have asked him. Yes. Do you need a meeting with him?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
I schedule a meeting, but the either one of you know, what is considered downtown in Snowhill? What street, what area is considered
I mean,
downtown?
Main Street? Or are you talking
No,
about downtown?
when you're talking about things happening downtown or things being fined downtown, or what is considered downtown? Am I considered downtown where I live?
Generally,
Okay. So it goes from Market Street to the river. Okay, and then somewhere behind me. I really needed to know that, what was considered downtown, because a lot of things in the code is saying downtown. So-
there's downtown Main Street.
For zoning
Is-
purposes, yeah.
Or what do you need why do you need to, I mean,
Because some of the codes and signs and things just state downtown.
okay.
So,
Ms. Rita, do you mean in the, chart that Dan presented?
oh, he presented, let's see, he presented a chart,
The one that he walked the council through?
okay,
Like,
Tonight?
yes.
Tonight?
Yes,
Oh,
but I
okay.
really need
Okay.
to know what area is downtown, like I said, the code and everything.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you. And Ron Hall, please come forward.
I'm not gonna call on
You need some water?
No, I need it for the season. Question before, you remember though, because your mom and I were both volunteering, when the Riley request came in, the reason why the town's involved, Mrs. Riley died 97 years ago, something like that. And at the time, the towns in, Worcester County owned their own libraries. It was only later they were merged into the library system. So by the time her surviving heir passed away, and there was a library system, Snow Hill had been identified as the person to oversee the bequest. And that's why we're still involved. Because your mom and I got to use some of that money to get more books for the.
I know, it's
Worcester.
good. It's a good thing.
Another thing, suggestion, particularly with the thing with the grass. Define what is, I mean, there's no definition that I can see or hear of as to what is a proper lawn in Snow Hill. I mean, if your grass is cut every week, but you keep it at 6 inches, is that okay? If you keep it at 10 inches and cut it that way, because I had a friend in Wilmington who won like several awards from the Land Trust and conversation people. And 2 weeks after she got the last big award with the money grant, she got a notice from the town that she was violating the code. So there's no specific definition on some of these items that, and that's not something we can do in charter. That's something the council's gonna have to agree on. Yeah, what constitutes proper or kept within reasonable limits. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. All right, let's go to announcements from council. Starting with Councilperson Lee. Anything you need to comment about today? No. Councilperson Lumpkins?
I'd like to thank the 308 people that came out and voted on Tuesday.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yay.
compared to,
60.
Three.
Yeah, I thought 68, maybe, no, maybe 60 something.
Oh,
Right, right, yes, and I would like to thank, our county election board and our town election board. And, they just did a wonderful job. They're working for 12 hours, sitting there, and monitoring, citizens and making sure everything's running smoothly. And, the new director of the county, Jocelyn Abbott, is new on board. She's from Salisbury, and she has been a great help to us. And we had new signs and structure, and I want to thank Candace Ringaneri for delivering lunches and setting up and getting the train station, and making sure everybody was filling out all their forms on time and doing what they were supposed to do. So it was a well-run machine yesterday, and I thank everybody, and I also thank everybody who voted again. It's good to see a great turnout for our town. Councilperson Fletcher, can I step in? Too fast there?
no.
Go ahead.
Fine.
Go ahead.
I thought it was a great turnout. When I added the numbers, I was like, ooh, I don't think it was been that in what, 3 years?
Mhm. Well, it's maybe
It was 314 when you and I ran. the first time.
314 when
And there
we,
were
2 years ago,
There were
yes,
50 some absentee ballots. To be
yes,
counted after that.
yes.
Yeah.
I just wish we could get the same for Central and Western I wish we could, make sure that they get the numbers too next time. Yes.
If I may,
Uh-huh.
I failed to mention that everybody reminded I also want to congratulate the people, the voters in this town. Really stepped up to the plate and it's fantastic. I will continue always to hammer the growth of this town and the comprehensive plan, which is still underway, that we have an obligation as a legislative body to adhere to. The changes, the momentum, the growth, the potential here in Snowville. I just hope that this election will kind of settle the water, in terms of any discord, and that we move to the same page for implementation where we're headed. I believe that this comprehensive plan and the involvement of our Snowville High School in it is going to provide a pathway for us to really realize our greatness. And it will only happen through continued participation of our citizens in the kinds of activities that we had yesterday and turnouts that we had yesterday.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.